Here's probably what I think the one meta comp will be. All right, you have VDH, you have Arcane Mage. Cool. You have Shadow Priest. Or Shadow Priest. This is what I think probably the first meta comp you will see is. This is what I think here, though. Right? Here. This plus one other thing. I think that this comp right here is a incredibly high DPS, and I don't know exactly, but I think that this is one comp. This is not S, right? First comp. This is not ranked. It's just I'm showing you that the balance of this season is very interesting. The balance is super cool, okay? Third comp, fourth comp, and fifth comp. You can make a bunch. They're all actually good. Like this, okay? Here we go. I think that here you wouldn't play Marksman after nerfs. I think you would play Frost DK or Shaman. But Shaman is pushing it in this comp. You want a Shaman because buffs are cool, but I think that Shaman is really pushing it here. You might have to live. You want kicks. The problem is here is you want a kick. You need a little bit more control if you don't play Boomy. I think that Boomy fits really well into this comp as well. To be honest, I really think Boomy is like a potential sleeper pick there. But what technically would be the most damage is this, right? You could play Enhance here. This would be a way to get a melee in. Melee, he doesn't benefit from this, but it's a good PI target. Arcane Mage is not the best PI target. So you have Shadow Priest. You want a PI target, right? We're talking actual comps now. So I feel like VDH, Resto Druid for Druid buff, this works here, yeah? But Arcane hasn't been nerfed enough. So I feel like here, you could play Ellie Shami. I think Ellie Shami would be a very potential option here. I think Ellie Shami here, Ellie Shami potentially could be really good. The other option that I see, by the way, is S-Priest. S-Priest in the higher level of keys when they can actually do something. Arcane is a 1 minute 30 second spec Zol. So you would have to have coordination to do it properly. I feel like Ellie is probably a good spec here. Like I could see Ellie being a thing. I could also see Og being a thing. No joke, I could see Og being in this comp, actually. As crazy as this means, I could see Og being in here. But the last spec here, this one's pretty much set. Like, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth specialization here, I'm not sure exactly what it will be, but this one is like 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what I mean? I feel like... So, Shadow doesn't want to hold PI at any point. They need another thing to just send it on. And I think that Enhance or Ellie would be fine. Like, 2-minute Ascendance basically does line up. The problem I see with this comp is, how is this going to live? There's a problem here. Number one, Poison Dispel number 1, Poison Cleansing Totem. Plenty of decurses, so decursing will be fine. Arakara could be hard for this comp. Arakara, you have a well-timed Poison Cleansing Totem with Recall. That's fine. And you have a 1 Poison Dispel. I feel like you might just slot in a Frost DK. Exactly. My thinking is you slot in a Frost DK, but technically, DPS-wise, I bet you this is a Giga comp. Like, this deletes Prio targets, and this deletes AoE. Like, both of these are Prio damage. This as well. So I think that this absolutely does this, though. Yeah. So I feel like this is a very potential comp. This being the outlier, I'm not so sure about, okay? Another comp that I want to show you. Basically, the comps will look like this, and this is where it gets interesting, okay? The comps are based around the tanks, because there's a comp I see with Prot Warrior. There's also a comp I see with Brewmaster. Hold up. Like this. There's a comp I see with Prot Pally. Yeah? So Prot Pally's over here. There it is. Okay. I think that this is a very likely comp as well, where all of a sudden you play Havoc here, and then you bring the Mage and the Shadow Priest. So here, Mage, Shadow Priest, like this. Shadow Priest PIs the Havoc, and then the healer you play here is a Resto Druid. Now this comp is a little bit tankier. This comp lives keys easier. This comp, slightly more damage. This comp, lives keys. This comp is Giga for living, okay? This is Giga right now. This is Giga, actually, right? I think that the funniest thing is, of course, you could play Og, and that looks very familiar, doesn't it? You can't have too much prio. You can't really have too much prio, right? This is also blasting AoE. Like, you can't have too much prio, I think, by the way. Oracle goes... Okay. The reason you would play this instead of Oracle... Now, granted, the other option here is you could replace... Brewmaster doesn't work with this comp. Brewmaster is its own comp here, okay? No, you could play Frosty K as well, right? The thing about the comps this season is they're not set. Like, actually, there are options. I could totally see you taking S Priest out and you bring Oracle in here, and then you slot in Enhancement Shaman or Ellie Shami. I could see a Shaman there and then Disc Priest here. That would totally work for me. That makes sense to me. But I think that this brings more damage right now. Yeah, Frost is a spec that technically you can slot in anywhere, but we're talking about synergies. Again, this PIs this deletes a final target, plus provides Arcane Mage things. Arcane Mage is big damage. But I think that Shadow Priest can be delayed. Now, the sleeper picks for the caster comps instead of an Ellie Shamis, you could just straight up bring in a Destro Warlock or a... I think that in the highest level keys you won't see it, but I swear a Destro Warlock or like a Dev Evoker or something like that is kind of weirdly good for a lot of this stuff. This is comp 1. This is comp 2. A prop pally enables this. I think that Shadow Priest with this is very difficult, and you realistically, this comp can't get kicks. Like, this comp is going to be really tough for kicks. I don't know if this comp is technically I don't think you can make this work. I actually think that you might not be able to. I think that realistically, you might have to play Resto Shaman here, and then instead of you just forego Druid, and you would play Frosty K. Yeah? But technically for damage, this is Giga. Like, I don't know if this actually exists, because I don't know if it can live. The problem is that comp 1, can you live? 12-second kick, 12-second kick, melee kick, stops. 24-second kick, no kick. I don't know about that. Whereas this comp has Prop Pally. So Prop Pally locks down a mob. You alternate mobs here. You go 1, 2, and then here like this. Highest level keys. This makes more sense to me, actually. You lose a little bit of damage by playing Prop Pally instead of VDH here, but I still think it could work. Also, this can just be Resto. This could be a Resto Shaman instead of a Druid. You could actually replace Resto Shaman here, although Resto Druid and Prop Pally work a lot better together. All right, this is a magic melee comp. You play Havoc. You play Frosty K here. This one's Frosty K. Yeah, I think that this comp actually... So this is where we start getting interesting. Remember how we made the tier list? The tier list becomes interesting when you start thinking about how it's actually played. And you start realizing that any comp without VDH, you want Havoc. So that's why Havoc is kind of S+. Because, like, Havoc will work here. Watch this. So you play a comp like this, and I think that here you slot in Enhance. Or, and this is crazy, so you slot an Enhance here, where you get Enhance's buff now. You get Enhance in here. That's what you need there. This one is Enhance. Yep. And you play this, guess what? You have a choice of healer, Disc Priest if you need it, or Resto Druid. Yeah? The problem with this comp is, again, this is the only poison dispel, and Arakara could get a little bit funky. I think Arakara first area, you'd have to game with this Totem. You play a big pull with cooldowns, and you would use Totem, I think. Totem, Recall, plus, like, if you play Disc Priest here, how are you doing Arakara? Yeah? Like, how are you doing that? You could also play... So this is an interesting thing. Exactly. All of a sudden, you could do this. After the buffs today, you could totally... I could see this being a thing for sure. Yeah, magic damage. Assassin is mostly magic damage. So this would get buffed by here and here. And then you would actually play Assassin plus... Probably plus Resto Druid here. Yeah, but these are like a pretty... This isn't physical. No, Warrior... I think that Warrior comps are not physical now. Like, I don't think Warrior comps are physical. That's the thing. I don't think Warrior comps are physical, but I do think you're going to want a Shaman here. So you play Resto Shaman instead of Resto Druid, and you give up Mark of the Wild. Though the way you would do this here, though... No, you play here. This is why you would play this. You play Resto Shaman. Assassin... What are you talking about? I can't believe I engaged in an entire conversation about S-Priest with you if you think Assassination is 100% physical. You got to read the abilities. So you'd play Resto Shaman here. I think that this is a very strong comp. Warrior is kind of needed because Warrior buffs 1, 2, 3. Massive buff like this. Like, this is enabling these 3 specs like this. You know what I mean? This is enabling these specs. So I feel like this could be massive. You could also actually bring in a Feral Druid. Yeah. You think Feral? I think Feral Druid could really fit in here as well. Like, maybe, because this is a lot of prio damage. Like, maybe you don't need this and you actually just straight up, like, Feral Druid buffs are real. I could see this working. Basically, because remember, Warrior is competitive, because Warrior buffs any of these, though, right? Like, Warrior buffs any of this. Yeah, so maybe you'd want a Rogue here. Maybe this is a free comp where you bring 1, 2, and you could swap this in. Like, this last spec is a swap in. But this comp seems giga tanky to me. Like, this seems like it's going to live. Like, this seems like really, really good, though. You could do that, yeah. But the problem is that the whole point of this is that it's a magic melee comp. So you wouldn't want Windwalker here, you know what I mean? That you wouldn't want Windwalker because it's a magic melee comp. Mountain Fane does big single target. And you got 2 poison dispels. The dispel profile looks a lot better when you add this in. Right? You need a dispel. You need this though. Holy damage. Ret Pally is considered holy strike damage if you play the talent, but I think it's mostly holy damage, yeah. Mix. There's a mix of things though. So the physical comp obviously is pretty mandated. This one is where you play Fury Warrior. You play Brewmaster, Fury Warrior, Feral Druid like this with a Resto Shaman. The last spec here you slot in. This one's here though. This one's here. So this one, right? This one, whichever is tuned higher. It's basically whatever rogue is tuned higher. It's either Outlaw, this, or a Hunter. It's Outlaw or a Hunter, basically. This is a Giga comp right now. If you want to play Brewmaster, I think you play Brewmaster with a Resto Shaman. You get Giga kicks, Giga stops, big survivability. This would be fine, right? Poison Dispel, Dispel Profile, all of these need at least 1 Poison Dispel. Marksman Hunter is mixed between physical and magic, right? But you could also remember this right here. You could take this out and actually bring in a Havoc. You know what I mean? So, like, you could bring in a Havoc here, actually. It'd be just fine. This is another thing, like, you know what I mean? I don't know about this. Like, this is the one thing as we talked about this first comp. The problem is I don't see this working. On one hand, in my brain, I'm like, bro, this is... You imagine the damage of this comp. This is like, you know, it deletes things. But I don't think you'd play this. I actually just don't think so. This is where I started thinking and realizing VDH is considered the best tank individual, right? Like, VDH is considered a very good a very good tank. But what would you play it with? What would you play it with? That's what I'm thinking all of a sudden. As I bring this back down, what do you play VDH with? What's another VDH comp you could play? Because VDH requires either Resto, like, Boomy? The problem is, like, that's a niche pick now. Like, all of a sudden, that's a niche pick. Like, you play VDH with Boomy, so that comp would look something... Granted, the Dispels would be great. So you'd play, like, VDH over here with Boomy, plus a Resto Shaman then, or a Disc Priest. You could play Disc Priest here. My question, though, is, like, how do I fit in a Disc Priest? Where do I fit in a Disc Priest to this comp? Right? So VDH Boomy here with Arcane Mage, obviously. So you'd bring Arcane Mage here, and then what? What's the last DPS here? What's the last one? What would you play here? Like, this is a what? Right? Can you make stops work? Like, kicks are going to be a problem here. A lot of these packs, remember, one of the reasons that VDH Boomy is so good, right? Frosty K, you think? But you got to understand that this season, one of the reasons that VDH Boomy is so good, this is too niche, I think. But one of the reasons is because the way the packs need to be controlled. I want you to think about the pull before... Yeah, Grip Beam, but Grip Beam works for some pulls but doesn't work for other pulls. Like, I want you to think about this. The pull before second boss in Dark Flame Cleft, okay? MD also exists on other priests, though. So Dark Flame Cleft, the pull before the second boss, you know all those casters, you need to stop them because in higher keys that will kill you, the cast there, yeah? You can't chain CC them, but if you Grip and Beam, it puts the spell on cooldown, right? In the new dungeon pool, Arakara, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. Shadow Priest is straight up damage. Straight up, it's damage. Shadow Priest is straight up used for damage. You know? If you need a good PI target, though, you need one. Yeah, so this would either be Ellie Shami or Havoc here. Havoc's not a bad PI target. It's not the best, though. So the way it works right now is that if I stop that with a Grip and a Beam, all good. But there are pulls in Arakara where I need more than a Grip and a Beam, and I would much rather have a Pally interrupt than a VDH interrupt. And Halls of Atonement is another good option. If you go into the first pull, you Grip and Beam, you're set for the first set of casts. But then what? But then what? But then what? Because they'll keep casting. Like, they don't go on cooldown. They're still just going to immediately go bolt, 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 bolt. Does that make sense? Like, what do you do after that? Prop Pally is like, great, I'll lock down 1 or 2 targets consistently the whole pull. VDH is not actually the best at that anymore. Now Prop Pally is the best at that. That's why you would play it. Even though this is a damage loss, you would still play Prop Pally, right? You could put Frosty K in any one of these comps. I agree. That's why Frosty K is so versatile. But I feel like this comp here, like honestly, you could actually take this. It's dog the same people. Okay, so actually, then what if you take Shadow Priest out and you just slot in? I don't know if you play Mage here. What if you actually just didn't? Arcane is so good though, but Arcane is so good. Well, okay, what if you played? What if you did Prot Pally plus? What if you actually played a comp that was just solid without group buff? So you took a Frosty K, and you put it in here, and then instead of the Mage, you need a Lust. Instead of Mage, you went Enhanced Shami. But that starts to look like this comp. You know, they both want funnel. It's true. That's why I'm thinking maybe you choose between the Arcane with the VDH, or you just play Havoc and you don't play Arcane. Like, it's a good point. What if you didn't play this? What would you play here then? How would you build this comp? Because this is now Giga Tanky. Like, this is Giga Tanky, but I don't know if you actually need the Prot Pally now. Yes. So I think you want a Shaman. I think you'd play Enhanced Shami here. You would play Enhance. Enhance would go really hard there. Enhance would go really, really, really hard. Enhance right here. This comp looks good to me. Basically, you have your Prot Pally, sack your Enhance. He Blade Dances everyone, alternate with Blur. He lives eternally. This guy gets the just heal. But you wouldn't... So this is basically a... This guy buffs him, this guy buffs him, this guy buffs everything. I wouldn't see... This comp could be really good. I don't think this first comp can work. Like, as one hand, it's like... I thought about it then. It's... Yeah, so when you're making comps, you got to think about the fact that the tier list that we made... Realistically, these specs are going to be slotted in first. You're going to figure out a comp with this. All of this is going to be put in before anything else. Yeah, all of this is going to be put in first. And Enhance should be basically high here, because you want Shaman. This is all niche. This is technically niche. I don't think that this is A+. I still think this is here, though. The group buffs complicate things. So all of a sudden, because you can make a tier list and argue that, hey, this is really good, you know? I can make a tier list, or this is going to be top damage, but then all of a sudden I start making comps and I only have 5 people to put in. You know what I mean? I only have 5 people, so what am I supposed to do with this comp? It's like 1, but this, I don't think this works, man. Like, I just think in practice it sounds good, but if you actually try to play this, you might have a problem. It makes sense that it would do a lot of damage, you know? Their single target... No. Arcane is good. But the problem is that Arcane and Havoc want funnel. It's true. I think that Frosty K, but where would you put in Frosty K? So what would you remove? What do you remove here then? You wouldn't remove Mage. This is why all of a sudden I was thinking, though. Castercon without Beam and Dungeon, like, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like, Fnatic, that's what I'm thinking. I feel like you have to remove the S-Priest. But then all of a sudden, you're not playing S-Priest. Right? And then what do you do? Because then do you still play Resto Druid, or do you start playing Disc with this? Do you actually slot in the Disc here, and then you would go Disc with the caster comp, and you would play what? Frosty K, basically? Like, you basically play Frosty K here? Like, is this kind of the idea that actually that first comp, like, this looks a lot better to me. All of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, now this can live. Now this would actually live, but the problem is Poison Dispel. Like, how does this live Arakara? You only have 1 totem. I think this could struggle in a dungeon like Arakara. I feel like that's what I'm saying is, like, Disc Priest to me is still so good. But then all of a sudden when I look at the DPS that I want to bring, where's the Dispel coming from? You know? And yeah, I feel like a Rogue is really pushing it. Like, Assassination Rogue is pushing it to be replaced in one of these comps, like, very easily. I think what you'll see a Rogue with Broom. Like, again, this could be a Outlaw here. Like, basically a Rogue is somewhere here, you know, slightly better than Fair. You bring it over here. So, yeah, I'm not really sure, man. I'm not sure. You could add, like, there's so many potential comps that I'm not sure, but, like, how does this deal with Arakara? Like, that's my question, Fnatic. You know what I mean? VDH Arcane. So I think that Resto Druid has to be played here. Then you cover your basis. This can live. Again, AMZ on the outside of cooldowns. This guy, can he live? Can he live with this comp? Like, you bark skin him. You actually would bark skin him on some mechanics. In the physical comps. Yeah, I just think Havoc is actually that strong Like, I actually think Havoc is so strong that you would, yeah, you would have to alternate some barriers and stuff, but technically you'd be all right. It could live to a point. But then I'm thinking, I'm like, the success of the key, I think that this is more damage, though. Shaman is just the new Boomy. Exactly. So, but you have, you know what you have for one-shots? You have Ghost Wolf DR. I couldn't imagine anybody playing it, but you know you have Ghost Wolf DR where you can actually just, you could just sit in Ghost Wolf. That's a thing you can do. You could technically, it's 20%. It's kind of like a really bad bear form. Imagine being a shaman and being like, hold up, guys, let me just sit in Ghost Wolf for 3 seconds. Yeah, because you'd have to for Zav. I was about to say. For Zav, I bet you would have to do that. Or it used to be like that for third boss of Siege of Borealis. You'd have to do it. Um, so as far as I can see here, Disc Priest should be better, but I'm confused about how to play them. Because if you want to play Disc Priest, you kind of need Boomy. Like, Disc Priest should still technically be really good. But how do you slot them in? Because if I take Resto Druid out here, then you're a problem, right? Because then, but poison dispels. You remember this season there are no mandatory dispels. Amazing, amazing. By the way, fantastic. Is one of the reasons the season was so fun. This current season of M Plus has 0 mandatory dispels. Yes, every season should be like that, right? Poison cleansing totem would work if you do a big pull. And I think you'd be dwarf, and I think you could out-heal some of them. Like, with defensives, I really think you could. Because, like, the Call of the Brood is not... You don't need big defensives for that Fanatic, so the way that dungeon would be paced is that you would go first pull, live, you know, and then second pull, the totem comes out, recall the totem, make sure you have cooldowns, and then you would play Call of the Brood, it would be fine. You'd play Knock, the second mini-boss, and it would be chill, because that thing is nerfed. And then what? You would go to the next pull, few poisons there, don't dispel the tank. Dwarfs, shields, just big healing. Like, Resto Druid can out-heal a lot of the poisons, to be honest. Like, Resto Druid can totally just out-heal a lot of them, even at a higher key level. So, Dev doesn't slot in. These are, like, the comps I think you'll see at the highest level. Keep in mind that anything works. Like, okay, so let's assume that I play Guardian Druid, okay? This is what I would look for. Guardian Druid technically works with anything. But I'm going to think, if I want Guardian Druid, I would be happy to play anything. Like, I would be happy to play with a Havoc and a Frosty K. I like this type of comp for Guardian Druid. Personally speaking, I want a Resto Shaman. Resto Shaman is probably my best bet. So I want Resto Shaman with this, and then I have a Lust from here, and then I have Shaman buff, Havoc buff, this, and then what else would I play here? I could slot in a Monk, I could slot in a Warrior. I feel like this is actually where you would play a Fury Warrior like this. Like, Fury Warrior would be good here. You know? Like, this could be here. I think that this could be really good. If I was playing Guardian, I would probably look for something like this, rather than the Arcane Mage comp. Like, I feel like I would actually play here. But as you can see, one of the reasons I put Havoc as S+, what's up, Noctis? One of the reasons I play this, though, you're just avoiding... Yeah, if you play Bear, you got to avoid Resto Druid. But do you need something range? Because if you play range, then you don't play Fury Warrior. Fury Warrior only exists if you play basically all melee. But all of a sudden, Hunters don't fit in here. Like, they just don't. And Druid needs a lot... Like, Druid wants stops. So I would rather play with a group like this. DK can grip casters and Priory or anything that's far because these guys cleave, right? Magic damage comp. This is a full magic damage comp, basically. No, Lee, did you see the patch notes today? Read the patch notes for Marksman. No, read it. Did you see it today? That was a hefty nerf, man. That was a big nerf. Like, that was a backhand with rings on. Like, that really actually affected them. I don't mind I think Warlock's good, you know? No, their PCR nerfs are not live. They're not live. I tested it today, but unfortunately, they're not live yet. So you can't actually tell. Yep, it's not on the new patch. So we don't know. Like, technically, I read that, and I'm like, that's a large nerf. But if, let's say that, for example, a Hunter is doing the same DPS as this guy is so much more valuable. Or if a Hunter is doing the same DPS as this guy is so much more valuable. Like, it's hard to say exactly how it's going to end up. But I also wouldn't mind, like, let's say that I wanted to play a comp like this. This is going to be something I'm thinking about. Let's say I play my Bear. I also wouldn't mind this. This is something I wouldn't mind here. You could really start cooking. You know, if I wanted to play with a monk, I could think about this. I could think about this. I could play like 1, 2, 3, maybe again Fury Warrior in here with the Resto Shaman. You could play something like this. Why not? Yeah, Devastation is a good standalone caster with the Resto Shaman here for Lust. You could play this. You know, I think this would work, by the way. I would cramp, but the thing is about Dev is, again, where would I put it in? So Dev would replace an Outlaw row. So let's say, okay, let's put a comp with Dev Evoker. Let's say Dev goes here. I don't mind Dev. Like I said, I'm high up on Dev. I like Dev. So what if I wanted to play Dev? I bring Guardian Druid with this comp. I play Resto Shaman. I think Guardian Druid and Resto Shaman are a good match. So Dev is here. You don't play a physical comp then. Now all of a sudden you're thinking Havoc and a Frost Decay. That works. You could play this. I think you still want from here, what do you want? Mob control is going to be a problem. There's a lot of times where I'm going to want a grip. I think a grip is super important. Like, there's a lot of... I can already tell you Halls of Atonement, second pull, is going to be really hard for this comp. Priory, first pull, could be hard for this comp. Priory in general could be hard. Floodgate, 2 of the pulls, you're going to want grips. You know, but you could just slot this in. You could play a Frost DK here. All of a sudden, though, you see how the comps actually go, though? No, you have Dev for... No. Prio is... This is not Prio. This is just massive damage. But you could slot this in, absolutely. Yeah. I feel like the value of a Fury Warrior versus a Dev is very similar. You know? Like, I think that this would be absolutely fine. Likewise, the problem is that this doesn't get... This gets Havoc, but doesn't get... Gets the Resto Shaman buff. Propel, Havoc, S-Priest, Dev. Havoc, S-Priest, Dev. So you would play over here, right? Instead of the Frost DK, you would put a Dev Evoker. Could do. But I feel like Dev and PI work well together as well. Dev is getting... So here's the thing. You can start to see how the meta, when you start making comps, there are some problems that start to happen. Like, how am I getting a Warlock in here? Like, Warlocks are just kind of... How am I getting a Hunter in here? It doesn't matter that their damage is individually buffed. Where am I putting a Hunter? Every situation that I could think about bringing a Hunter, I'm like, but I could bring something else that's better. You know what I mean? Dev is okay single. It's not bad single if you're playing the key build. So where do I put this? Where do I put a Rogue? I feel like Rogue could slot into this comp really well. I still feel like a Feral Druid in this, like, this is a Giga comp right here. This is like, you got big prio, fair buff to the group, although maybe the Fury Warrior is down bad and you actually take this out. But this is a lot. I mean, this is basically, this guy is doing insane damage here, and this guy is doing insane damage. Because Havoc benefits from Mystic Touch, but also benefits from these two. Like, I feel like this comp is a very real comp. I feel like this comp is incredibly real. I think that this comp is also fairly real, although I could see replacing a Havoc with this or something. Rogue instead of Feral. But really, like, but you want Havoc. Like, Havoc does so much damage. But, like, you know what I mean? But why wouldn't you play Havoc? There's no reason to not play it, though. The thing is that Hunters now bring absolutely nothing. Mark of the Wild is so important, but although you could see, I could see you dropping it. Although if you really wanted, if you take DK out here, I feel as though, yeah, Havoc does a lot. Their Fury of the Eldrachi and a lot of their damage is actually, it's not all physical, but it's actually mostly physical. Yeah. So Havoc, you want, the only problem is that you want a Mystic Touch as a Havoc, but a lot of the things that benefit from Mystic Touch don't do magic damage. So Havoc doesn't benefit them as much, if that makes sense. Yeah. So all of a sudden, though, as I'm looking at comps, they basically revolve around what tank you play. This one's got Giga Dispels. This one has Giga Dispel. I should hydrate, I don't know. Here, we'll keep talking about it. Let me go to the bathroom real quick. I want to put this in the Discord if anybody's interested. All of the Discords and stuff will be here. I want to keep updating it. I'm really curious to see. This is like my first time ever making content on YouTube and stuff. I'm kind of new at this. I hope people appreciate the perspectives that I'm trying to share, rather than just say, like, this is for sure what's going to be the best. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say this is like the best thing, but rather let's have a conversation, because I think that you're making good points. I think I'm making all right points of, like, yeah, you could play this. I could see this being a Giga comp in this dungeon, but then in Arakara, how are you going to do it? Or this, like, you got Floodgate, how are, you know what I mean? Like, there's thought processes. You can't just say that's the best. there are times when you're like prop pally on this pole, Halls of Atonement, it's going to make Halls of Atonement so much better. But then you're going to bring it to something like Floodgate and maybe Ow or Priory. And I think, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Is Feral Druid good? Feral Druid is weirdly good right now. Like, it was dependent on a physical comp at some point, but now I don't know. Like, so this is the traditional Outlaw Rogue comp, but Havoc is kind of giga. Like, I could see you not playing Outlaw in favor of this, though. Considering most, and that's true, by the way, Anthony. That needs to be taken into consideration. And everything. The only thing is for tanking. You'll see all these tanks work. The one tank that doesn't exist here is Blood DK. Yeah, but you'll see that the healers that I'm choosing for almost every comp is going to be a Resto Druid or a Resto Shaman. Technically, Prez works if you're really good at Prez, but basically Resto Druid or Resto Shaman. Let me go to the bathroom real quick. Let me get a drink, and I'll be right back. We'll keep talking about it, and I'll do some PCR stuff. Yo, hi. So, thank you for, by the way, reminding me to hydrate throughout all of that. I do need to hydrate because I have POTS, and so delicious. I gave myself the special yummy electrolytes with extra sugar today. Also, yesterday, walking around Thailand for 3 hours and doing the stream was super fun. Like, I really like doing the Thailand stream, but I should have brought even more salt with me. I only brought 5 salt pills, and I should have brought like 10 salt pills. It's just super awkward. I don't know how you would feel about taking this out in public. But there's a little white baggie I have, and it's a little clear plastic baggie with white pills in it. It's a little awkward to occasionally just randomly pull this out and be like, I need to take this. You know what I mean? That could be misconstrued, a little bit misunderstood in public settings. It's just salt, man. It's just salt. It's just salt. I need more salt. Here we go. Let's don't get the thing with salt pills. It's something called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It has to do with the fact that my joints go like this. Lit. It's basically like my blood pressure just crashes. Yeah, I know. It's so weird, right? I put them in a candy container. That makes it more suspicious. I'd rather just be honest about it. What are you doing, Jesus? I have EDS. I know it's so weird, right? They just go boo, 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 boo. Every joint in my body does that. So let's say that something like this exists. You know what I mean? No, nobody beats me in a thumb war. I will win thumb wars every single day of my life. I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to put this comp prediction or something like this. I'm kind of happy with these, by the way. You know, let's put this in the Discord or something like this or whatever. Move your camera to the other side. Oh, shit. Am I covering the comp predictions? Yeah. Here. That's a good point. I got this here. Great point. I forgot I was covering it. No, I've got them. You can see it here now. You take a picture of your comps on your WhatsApp team. Well, okay. Remember that these are just Guardian Druid things. I would really say that I wanted to make it work. Like, I really wanted to make it work, but I will say Yeah, honestly, oh my gosh, 100%. If you're trying to go from 3K to 3.5, etc. though. Yes, this is I need extra salt. Like this is literally a salt pill. Like I have two different salt pills that I have on my desk. They're literally just salt. I need to take these throughout the day, especially when I'm streaming and sitting down for long periods of time. Yeah, like by the way, like 12 of these a day. Like I take 10 to 12 of these a day. Uh-huh. No, I need like way more salt. Otherwise, I get like super ill and my head goes, whoa. Like this. VS talked about a while back. Never heard of it. Oh, yeah. So, like, look up POTS. If you have EDS, you should look up POTS and salt intake and stuff like that. Makes the biggest difference in my life, I swear. I couldn't stream otherwise. I wouldn't be able to stream at all. Also, people were arguing about the Prez Evoker. Can I just show you Prez? Can I just show you some Prez Evoker? Let me see if I can find a PTR key, and I want to just show you something. I just want to show you Prez Evoker, right? Remember that when we talk about the comps, I'll eventually make a YouTube video about this, okay? I'll put this on YouTube after. What you need to know about comps is this, okay? Here's what you need to know about comps. I want to play Guardian Druid, so I need to make this work. But technically speaking, the conversation is important, okay? I'll have two tanks. I'll always make two tanks work, right? I'll make like two tanks work. I don't have just one, I'll make two or three work always. So I'll maintain my Guardian Druid and my VDH probably, as well as a Prot Warrior or Pally, depending on which one I prefer. But let's say I want to play my Druid. I'll be looking for a Fury Warrior or a good Frost DK or a good Havoc to play with. I'll also be looking for a Windwalker because I straight up think that Windwalker fits in here. Like, I don't think you need a dev. I think that, like, Windwalker here is fine. I think that Fury Warrior here is fine. I think Fury Warrior fits a little better than this. I think if you play DOTC Bear, you want Windwalker more than this. You're like a horse, get a Salt Lick. I know, right? It's kind of crazy. That'd be super weird. Thailand's already culturally, I do some weird stuff here. But everybody was arguing about my Prez Evoker choice, and I'm just going to show you this. Yeah, you could take Ret. Ret wouldn't be bad in this comp. You could totally just slot a Ret in here instead. You could get rid of the Havoc, or you can get rid of the Warrior and just put Ret. That'd be fine. You know, like, the important thing is if you take a screenshot of this, you got to have context. You can't just say this comp is best. You know what I mean? Can we go Windwalker? You totally can. Windwalker Fury makes a lot of sense, actually. To be a Woo's Havoc? I mean, like, so I want a Havoc. Like, pretty much every comp wants a Havoc. Like, you guys understand why the Havoc exists, right? It's the melee Arcane Mage. It's like you want to find a way to play Havoc. You can totally play Warrior, like Fury Warrior and Windwalker work, except for the fact that Fury Warrior plays Mountain Thane now, and Mountain Thane is a little bit... Here. What do you do that we considered weird in Thailand? I don't know, I'm white. I don't know. Like, what's considered weird in Thailand for me? Probably just the fact that... I don't think I care enough about fashion. I think people kind of think about their image a lot here, and I just walk around in literally this shirt and flip-flops all the time because I don't like to wear anything. Like, I'll show up to a bar if I have friends meeting up or something like that because I have friends now. It's weird. But if I got invited to a bar like a few nights ago for trivia night. I went for like an hour and I got tired and I left. So if I went there though, I showed up in like flip-flops, and I was yesterday on the Thailand stream. On the Thailand stream, I went past a Steinway piano shop, and I was like, I kind of want to go in and ask them how much it is. And people looked at me and they were like, oh, woo, you can't walk into a Steinway piano shop, a very fancy place, wearing what you're wearing. Like, you can't, like, no, you can't just show up in like a tank top and like athletic shorts and sandals. Like, that's not, you can't do that. Like, I was like, really? Why not? Is Marksman dead? Kind of. I think that Marksman's still good. So individually, you just throw a Marksman in there. Great. Yeah, like you could throw a Marksman into this comp. Keep in mind that one of the comps that we're not talking about here is, I would say, you play like you could play here, right? No, Fury Warrior buff. You want a Warrior buff because this gives like 1.5 million DPS. Like, this gives 1.5 to this. You have big AoE, solid AoE prio, and this just buffs. This is literally an Aug Evoker. If you play Furier in this comp, you're literally just an Aug Evoker buffing these things. Runs Hunter. So you could play that. Like, that's basically now all of a sudden you're thinking if you just add this here, and you were like, Okay. So you were saying, for example, the Guardian Druid, and this is where you would play that comp. Like, for example, like a Retribution Paladin, right? And then a Rogue and a Hunter. The problem is that I don't think you'd play Ret Pally there, but let's say you want a Hunter. Okay, fine. So let's say you take a Hunter, like a Marksman Hunter, and you are playing a Rogue in here or something like this. And what's this last spec? An Arresto Shaman. My problem here is this. Where's your prio damage in higher keys? I feel like you could play Windwalker, but now all of a sudden this is like uber target capped. You would have a hard time in some pulls. You'd have to think about some pulls. You could do it though. But I think like you would play Assassination instead because you're not playing. But then if you play Assassination doesn't benefit as much from this. But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I feel like the comp that you would actually play with this is a Brewmaster. You play Brewmaster here and then it fits in better. So like Assassination with a, not this, but a Brewmaster as an example. Yeah, I think you would play here. You go Brewmaster, Hunter. If you wanted to play a Hunter, you go like this, right? Is there no dungeons up on PTR? I don't know, on PTR right now. I'm looking in a second. There are some dungeons up right now. Yeah? Yeah. What do I want to do here? Okay. I have Prot Pal, Havoc, Dev Evoker, S-Priest, Resto Druid. Lots of externals. You want to make Dev Evoker work, you would play Prot Pal, Havoc, Dev Evoker, S-Priest. Yeah, I could see that. But so these are all potential comps. Like, which one is going to be exactly the best? We don't really know. Add a row below. That's an interesting comp. So you're saying, for example, hold up. Prot Pally, because this will help the S-Priest. S-Priest, Dev Evoker. Interesting. Okay. With a Resto Druid, because you have Lust from here. These are a lot of dispels. I think you would have to play Mage instead of Havoc. Wouldn't you want Mage here to buff this? I guess Havoc and Mage are similar buffs. You would have one melee, but this controls stops. You have enough stops here for sure. With a Resto Druid, you'd have enough stops and kicks. Like this. Are you sure you want... You're looking to moving to Phuket? What do you need to be able to do? You can message me. If you want specifically Thailand information, just message me on Discord. Because I'm a little iffy sometimes on talking about specific stuff on stream, like how I got visas and whatnot. But just message me on Discord about it, Jones. I'd rather respond privately on Discord about that stuff. Yeah, but you can move here if you want to make it work. It just costs some money, but you can make it work. Yes, it wouldn't be that hard. It's not that hard to move to Thailand. So this spec, if you want to make a rogue work, I feel like rogue wants warrior. I feel like this is a warrior tank comp actually. This is like more of a warrior thing, where you would play warrior like this, and then you would go hunter rogue plus X plus X. So Resto Druid like this. You bring like Resto Druid here though. Yeah, Corrosion. I've lived in Thailand for over. I did yesterday. I actually did my first in real live stream ever. Yeah, I posted the whole VOD to YouTube. It's not going to do very well, but that's okay. Havoc is actually mostly physical, some magic. Like, Immo Aura is magic, but most of Havoc, I think, is physical. So like this right here could work, and then what's the last slot? You wouldn't play Monk here. I feel like you actually just slot in... you slot in a Havoc. Like, what do you slot in here? Frost Decay? What do you need? You have a Dispel, maybe another Dispel. A Ret? Yeah. Ret would work. You could play Ret there. Yeah, what's up? Quick question. You think Resto Shaman benefits most of a... okay. Personally, Enhance. Yeah. Enhance could work. You could play Enhance, but then you already have a lot of prio here. You don't have a PI target. Enhance could work, because you want Shaman for this. Shaman benefits this a lot. I think you want Shaman. If you play Resto Druid, you want Enhance. That makes sense to me, like this. But it's so weird, because the point is, when I actually thought about this, the actual physical... Like, you could take Havoc out of this, and you could put a Rogue in here. This would be an example of something you could do for a pure physical comp. But when I thought about it, I realized that the actual physical comps that I see more of is going to be a magic melee comp. I don't see a lot of pure phys comps. I see a lot of like magic melee comps, and Prot Warrior fits better into that than Brewmaster. Brewmaster is literally phys. This is attack power. Attack power benefits a Havoc, a Ret, a Frost Decay, a this, a that, or whatever. You know what I mean? I will say that Ret enables Guardian Druid on like the last pull of Arakara. Ret would enable Guardian Druid there quite a lot. Uh, so that would help there. Who's getting more invites next season? Guardians or Prot Warrior, probably. I think Prot Warrior would have an easier time getting invites, to be honest. Okay, let me show